So this month I celebrate an important milestone in my journey into intermittent fasting. See, I made the resolution in 2020 to normalize my relationship with food. I was dealing with out of control food cravings to the point, I wasn't overweight, but I was probably getting there. I had major social and professional conflicts because I would want to go out to get food, right? In the middle of a party or a meeting, or just couldn't focus, right? Oh, getting into arguments with people on a plane because I couldn't wait to get out to get food. I didn't argue over food, but that was a main trigger for all the anxiety around flying. You get the idea, right? Making mistakes at work because of thinking of food. You get the idea. So I made a resolution to normalize my relationship with food, and one of the biggest tools I used was going on intermittent fasts, because it forced me to live life outside of food for 16 hours every day. Now, this month, I celebrate around 10,000 hours of intermittent fasting altogether, because I fast 16 hours practically every day, and then occasionally I string two of those together to make a 40-hour fast. And so I've become a world champion at fasting, right? And I thought I would use this opportunity to talk about some big tips on how to deal with intermittent fasting. Now, a lot of people think the best way to go on a 16 or 24 or even a 48-hour fast is to quarantine yourself and avoid dealing with all sorts of triggers in the outside world. Don't. The problem with that approach is that you fail to learn just how food fits into your life, how to say no to food, how to look at other people eating, how to deal with life as they come, right? Certainly if you have an issue where you need to fast right before surgery and that's the best way to carry you through it, okay, maybe that's a good idea. But for learning how to deal with your relationship with food, that's a very bad idea. So deal with all your trigger events that might trigger you to eat. Go to the office, mingle with people, sit with other people while they're eating. I'll get to that in a second, how to watch somebody eat. My biggest advice, probably even bigger than don't quarantine yourself to fast, is always treat fasting as what you are doing, not what you are not doing. And that's true with any sort of behavioral changes, right? Whether it's smoking, whether it's going on a regular diet where you need to control what you're eating. Always look at what you are doing, not what you're not. What do I mean by that? So early on in my fasting career, unfortunately, I did have to quarantine myself. I had to break my advice there for other reasons, obviously, not relating to fasting. But early on, I started quite a number of hobbies, right? You guys saw that I always loved long distance walking, but I could never finish the Redmond Trail. It goes from Redmond to Kirkland, and then where does it go? I can't even remember now. I haven't been there for a long time. But my first week on the fast, I walked that trail end to end. And I was like, how come I've never seen this before? I've lived here for 7 years. Oh yeah, because I would get a food craving, want to get out of the trail, go to a grocery store, go to a restaurant, and it dawned on me what I've been missing out, right? And that's what I want you to do when you're fasting, to take a vacation away from food, enjoy all the other spoils of life, make some new friends. I took up bowling about a year ago during our first reopening wave, and then they closed, and then now they've reopened again. When I first started bowling, at least regularly, right? It's not my first time ever, but first time regularly, I was scoring an 80 or a 90, and occasionally I'd get a triple-digit score, and that would be the high point of the night, right? Now, the other night I scored a 222. My goal is to score a 250 by the end of the year and to potentially join a league. And so, yeah, that's the kind of fast I want you to do, right? I hesitate to almost call it a fast, right? I prefer if we had a word that designated taking a vacation away from food, right? That's how I want you to think about your fasting, at least. Now, there are going to be times when you have to watch or listen to somebody eating. I want you to do this instead. Actually watch them eat and see how they're feeling about their food, right? Maybe even talk to them, right? And you'll come to realize that a lot of these people, especially if you're dealing with somebody who's compulsively eating, who's already overweight, watch how they feel about their own eating. A lot of times these people are only happy eating when it's subconscious, right? The moment that they notice that they're eating because you're talking about it, see, you got to be careful if you're doing this in the office, right? But sometimes you talk to somebody about what they're eating, how they like it, all of a sudden they get very defensive. Even if they don't get defensive with their response, you can tell their emotions getting very defensive, right? They only want to eat when they're subconsciously eating. Now, I ask yourself, do you want to be that person? Do you want to be that person? See, as soon as you see it that way, the envy of seeing somebody eating when you're 16 hours fasting, that quickly evaporates when you realize that, right? Those are my main tips, right? Fasting is a vacation away from food. That's my number one tip. My number two tip is don't use quarantine as a way to enforce your fast, right? And number three, actually watch how some binge eaters eat, right? And if it's socially safe to do it, actually talk to them and see how they actually feel about it, right? Thanks for watching.